Yeah. Good afternoon, SOMS family. We are here with the two senior most students that we have at SOMS. Yeah. My name is Gideon Jambwa. Today we're going to be talking about how their life has been at this school throughout the academic year. They've been here, imagine, for 6 years. If you had a child in first year, your child should be 6 years old now, and they are still in school. So with me, I have, they will introduce themselves.
Yeah. So, nishari kura na under 5 years kukuya. Yeah, so my name is Promise Kamau. Like I mentioned, I'm a final year student, medicine and surgery at Mulungushi University.
My name is Prince Mulambo, final year medical student at Mulungushi University. Yes.
Okay, so we have soon to be Dr. Prince and soon to be Dr. Kamau. Yeah, so far so good. How has been your journey of studying bachelor's of medicine and bachelor's of surgery? How has it been? How has been your journey, and what is something that you would want to tell these people who are aspiring to do the same program?
Okay, so medicine, to begin with, I will say the famous saying, this is the best job in the world, and there's no doubt. And it was filled with ups and downs, so it was like a roller coaster. Here, things, if you're in the next you find that school just suddenly gets hard, stuff like that. But all in all, we've been managing. It's been good in our effort. That's what I can say for now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. To start with, medicine as it is, you just know medicine. You are dealing with a human body. So the journey is not quite smooth as expected. So medicine, in a nutshell, has been very tremendous and uphill with valleys of troublesome experiences. So, however, the gimmick is that you have to stay focused in what you are doing as a medical student. Of course, it comes with a lot of slaps and kicks from different angles. That is telling you that it's not as easy as it's supposed to be. But as he said, with proper guidance, with the love of God, with the grace, we keep pushing and we find ourselves progressing.
Okay, so you've heard, it's always God and endurance. These are the fathers of endurance and discipline. Yeah, I remember when I was in second year, life was challenging coming from main campus where we were dealing with natural sciences, the NS you call. Then the transition from that, we thought it is connecting, but we found to say the life is totally different. What advice would you give to our fellow new students who just come in from doing pre-med to now enter into the journey of medicine? What advice would you give to them to handle their stress and their time management?
Okay, so just like you've mentioned, so medicine and medical school is a whole different environment. So what they were doing or what you are doing back then at main campus is completely different to what you find here. So you find that the workload that you had at main campus is like, I would say 20, 30 times compared to what you're going to do just in first year when you come here. So what matters the most is you have to identify, or you have to come up with new strategies on how you're going to manage medical school. Because just it being medical school, just people perceive it. Yes, it's true. There is a lot of things that you have to know, because like my colleague mentioned, you're dealing with human life. So there is no room for error. So you have to adapt. You have to make sure you come up with strategies that will ensure that you make sure you study the most important things. And all in all, you have to adapt. If you don't adapt, you get injured. So what I can say is just adapt to the new environment. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's alluded to most of the things, but all I can just say is when you're transitioning, you have to identify that there's a transition. Yeah, so that transition from first year to second year, and you're doing pre-med sciences, the natural sciences courses, and doing medical courses is a big transition. So as a good student, as they say, our lecturers and everybody, as a good student, you're better off understanding that there's a big transition, and you have to come up with good adaptability skills. So you have to adapt fast, because when you're slow, you lag. And that transition is what costs a lot of people. So you have to find ways of adapting as soon as you can. And the best way to adapt is not to be found alone, actually. Try to mingle with people, try to be in group discussions. There, they'll help you actually understand that there's a transition, and you don't have to now focus on solving that physics, but now you have to understand the physiology of respiration.
Yeah.
Like my physiology or pathology lecturer would say, it's either you adapt or
you get
injured.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry, second years. That was for the third years. You can't understand what they mean by adaptation. Yeah. Okay, now for the preclinical at large, looking at how the gap is, talking from experience, I just came from the preclinical side, and entering the clinical side, it's a lot to handle, and there is a gap. What advice would you give to our friends who are in preclinical at large? What advice would you just give them to handle their school, their stress, most especially when you're in third year? It feels like it's the hardest step, but what advice would you give the whole preclinical aspect? We'll start with you, Mr. Prince. Okay.
So this is still going back to what we were talking about, because there's a transition here. In preclinical, you used to sit in classes and listen to lecturers deliver topics and those learning materials. But when you come to clinical practice, you are now applying two things: the knowledge that you learned and you keep learning every day, and the skills. You have to learn a skill, and you are expected that you're supposed to be on the wards from a expected time to a specific time. So you have to still find ways of adapting, because now you're no longer sitting comfortably waiting for a lecturer to give you lectures. You are now working, you're using your energy, your body, you're getting tired. Okay, so you have to adapt. How are you going to do it? So you find ways, find strategies, find maneuvers. If you get tired fast, find ways of doing 1 or 2 weeks. You rest somewhere, you study, you go back, but always follow instructions. Find ways to adapt. If you don't adapt, it will be very difficult.
Okay. So medical school is one of those programs that you do that is going to subject you to a lot of confusion, because, like you mentioned earlier, during your first year NS, you'll be doing physics. You come into second and third year, you're doing your basic sciences. You go into your clinical rotations, you start doing something else. So it's a big transition. But all you know, what's important is that these basic sciences, these pathologies, the microbiology, physiology, anatomy, these are like the building blocks. Without them, you can't be a good clinical student. So you need to apply your physiology, your anatomy, and that's what we apply even when you go to these clinical rotations. And the most important thing, again, we are still stressing on adaptation, because you're changing the environment now. In preclinical, like my colleague mentioned, you have a course outline. Let's say you have a course outline. You know what you're going to study. You know what's going to come. But when you come to clinical years, we don't choose which patient is going to come in the consultation room. We don't choose, no, I'm only going to see a patient that is presenting with a cough. Or no, I'm going to see a patient that only has a fracture. No. So what happens is that in clinical years, we don't have a course outline. But we still manage. Why? Because we adapt. We look at the trend. Common things are common. So the most important thing is just adaptation. So you have to adapt to the new environment. Again, like my colleague mentioned, he said that you have to identify to say there is a transition. When you identify to say there is a transition, it becomes easier, because then you know that the strategies that we are using in your preclinical years is going to be different. Because let's say obs and gyne, you'll be knocking off at 16 hours, okay? And then let's say you're on call, you're knocking off at 20. And then sometimes maybe the consultant comes, is teaching you, you knock off at 23. You're tired, you're exhausted, you need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to study. Because at the end of the day, you need to study so that you can pass your exams. So you just have to understand that there's a big transition, and then come up with strategies that are going to help you so that you can cope with the change in terms of learning and the likes. Yeah.
Okay. So it's all about strategy. Now the bigger part, they say work without play made John a dull boy. How would you advise? Is med school all about books, or there is a fun part about med school? Do you have moments where you reflect to say, oh, that day I enjoyed, that day I had fun? Do you have such moments, or they just have to prepare for a solo life? Or how is med school?
Of course, med school is all about books. But then, that's not the case. So this question is taking me back to a principle where you get to understand who you are, understand yourself. There are people like me who require constant studying, okay? It is very difficult to grasp a concept and it takes a lot of time. That is sad because it will consume a lot of your time. There are people who are very quick at grasping information and it leaves them a lot of time. And there are people who what do we call them? The last fighters, the last gunners. The last minute guys. They only study in the last minute. Those are the medical students you find playing around, doing all sorts of things. But regardless, what you have to understand is identify your weaknesses and your strengths. Know who you are, what works for you as you are studying. Then, of course, it's not all about books. Give yourself some credit for studying or for understanding a topic. Go somewhere, go out, have a drink, okay, take a walk, have fun. Doesn't mean you should always be a bookworm throughout. You can still have fun. I myself, I have a lot of fun when I'm being a medical student. But it also has implications. As you are having fun, you have to know your limits. You can't have fun like you are not a student. So that fun should be limited. You understand, right? Yeah, so have fun in a specific way and go back to your books. That will help you.
Okay, so I am the perfect example of someone who managed both school and having fun, because when we go back to second year and third year, the friend of mine is also a student, final year student. His name is Tamanzi Kapesa. Tizi Amani, shout out, I see you, bro. Yeah, so him and I, we used to do music a lot. Second day, third day, we used to go Guma studios, we record, we used to go for shows. We attended the show for Yomaps, we attended the show for Mark 2. Yeah, like, those are the things we used to do, and we're still students, and we still manage to pass. So it all goes back again to what my friend said. So you have to understand yourself. So if you're someone who, like, maybe let's say you need like the whole day to understand like a concept, you can't go out and play. But if you're someone who can, like, maybe you're a last minute person and you know that last minute thingy works for you, you can have fun. So it goes back to like understanding the type of person that you are. So for example, me myself, what I do in terms of studying, I would just be writing notes. As I'm writing those notes, I'm studying. Like, I don't go over and over, just writing notes and I'm understanding. So you find that I set a target and I meet that target maybe in the next 4 hours, maybe it's like 14 hours. And then I have all this time of doing nothing. So there, I will go and do other things. So if I don't meet my target, then I won't go out. So it all goes back to setting goals, setting targets, making sure you meet your targets before going to play. Because at the end of the day, you need to have that information so that you can come and save my mother, so that you can come and save my sister, and just these people out there, because they are mothers, they are brothers, they are breadwinners. So at the end of the day, you need to study, have the data, and then fun later on. So that's what I can say.
Are you not going to tell us your stage name?
Oh, stage name one. Yeah, not forgetting. So my stage name is Coolest. Yeah.
Coolest official.
Coolest official.
Yeah, so kuchinakwata kagero nangu kulolera mpuishe.
Advisable.
It's advisable. Enough work. Very important. You know, there's no point in not having a girlfriend and still we are not doing fine. Like, okay, there are people that have girlfriends and they are doing fine. So, meaning having a girlfriend is not a problem. Unless the type of person that you are, but it's advisable. You need to have someone, you know. You need someone what is like a shoulder, no pepe. This is what happened, the consultant today, what. Yeah, you know. Yes.
What he said.
The man of a few words doesn't want to add on.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are our seniors. Yeah, they are our seniors, the senior most. Actually, not just here. Even at main campus, these are the senior most students. Yeah. So we had this interaction with him, and we'll be obviously having more interaction with these people. Yeah, I don't know if they have any last words for the people watching.
My encouragement is to that first year pre-med student they are calling fresher who wants to do medicine. Not to give up, to keep studying and identify what will make them end points to be in Livingstone for medicine. Otherwise, you can do it. We did it. You can do it.
Yeah. Also, my contribution is very simple. You know, people always talk. They always say, no, medicine is hard. What? Me personally, there's someone who told me that I will fail in first year, but look at me. I'm in final year now, and in the next few months, I'll be graduating as a doctor. So my advice that I can give you is that don't listen to anyone, just anyone, you know. You should get advice from people that have passed through what you want to go through, okay? And those are the best people that can advise you. So if you want to be a doctor, don't give up. It's possible. You can do it. We are doing it. And yeah, it's possible. You can actually do it.
Sure. You've heard it is possible. My name is Gideon Jamwa, fourth year medical student. With me, I had the two senior most, Promise Kamal and Prince Mulambo. Thank you. See you next time.